The Walrus Audio Slow. Let's check it out. Recently, Walrus Audio reached out to me and said, "Hey, Bill, we have a new reverb pedal coming out. Would you be interested in checking it out?" And I said, of course I said, heck yeah. So they sent me a demo unit of the Slow, which you see right here, and I'm going to walk through some sights and sounds of the pedal. So I'm not going to do knob descriptions and all. Let's just get right into some sounds, and I'll twist knobs as we go along. Here's my kind of dry, almost clean sound. Kind of a clean Fendery tone. So I've got all the knobs in the middle on the Slow, and I've got the little reverb selector switch, we'll talk about that in a minute, kind of pushed up to the top. And here's what we get. Can you hear what's going on there? This is a reverb with an octave decay underneath the original pitch of the note. I should say the decay is at the original pitch, and then there's an extra octave added in underneath. All right, so let's talk about the knobs and this reverb type. First up is the decay knob, and this gets you a very short decay. Or a very long decay. Oh yeah. And it's kind of nice for volume swells. All right, so that is the decay knob. In the middle on the top is a filter knob. This is your, or my, tone control. And in the instruction manual for the Slow, it says that for each reverb type, the filter works in a slightly different way. So I get the feeling it's not just one filter circuit. It's like tailored to each reverb type. By the way, this reverb type is called dark, and you can kind of understand because of that octave. Next up is the mix knob. So let's bring it all the way up. And there's one other thing you can hear going on, and that is modulation, right? So let me bring the depth knob all the way up, and you'll really hear it. Yeah, it's a little out there, but it's modulation, isn't it? I will use modulation, that depth knob, as an introduction to the secondary functions. For this knob, if I want to also switch the modulation speed, I simply hold down the bypass switch and twist the depth knob. So you can see I brought it way up. Let's check that out. So you can see what it does. So it's kind of cool. They've kind of kept the footprint small and had this depth knob do double duty. All right, the knob on the left, we'll get to the switch, but the knob on the left is called X, and it does operate differently for each of the reverb types. And by the way, there are 3 reverb types. And for dark, it controls the level of the lower octave. So I've turned it all the way off. So just getting the original pitch, or the actual pitch of the guitar as the reverb decays. Let me bring it all the way up. Let me go ahead and add some distortion in here so you can hear this reverb type with a little distortion. I like that a lot, actually. It's almost like an octave divider, but it's a reverb decay. Let's check out the second reverb type, and it's called Rise. It's an auto swell. That's probably why it's called Rise. So I've got it set to 100% wet, and let's check it out. Here, the X knob is changing the attack. Nice. Let me bring the decay up more. Guess what knob I just brought up? Yep, the modulation depth. All right, let's bring this back down a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and add some distortion in again. And let's play a little bit of lead here. That's kind of cool. It's a little bit like a ducking delay, where you're playing and you don't really hear the delay repeats until you let a note sustain. Well, this is a little bit like that in the sense that the auto swell brings the reverb decays in a little bit later. Let me turn the distortion off to see if you can hear it on the clean note. Hear how the reverb kind of swells in underneath the dry note. And that can be a really nice effect. It can fill out your sound without making the notes muddy. In other words, you retain the clarity of the notes. And of course, you'll have to play around with the knobs to get the right balance, but it's a nice effect. And what I'd like to do on this one is bring the decay time to almost all the way down so it's really short, and let's hear what we get. So, hear what I'm doing here? If you play quickly, you don't really get any reverb at all. If you let the note ring out, then you get the reverb. That's pretty cool. All right, third and last reverb type. This one is called Dream. Here's what it sounds like with all the knobs kind of set to the middle. it's a little more straight ahead kind of reverb, right? It's not auto swell. There's no octave going on under the covers. It's a modulating long reverb. And yes, you can get very long tails with this. Nice. Let me bring the decay time all the way up, and we'll make it almost all wet. Oh, and by the way, I am using the volume pedal. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I could definitely see, let's say, a band track with maybe, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 guitar parts, and one part being almost all reverb and just playing ethereal chord swells that kind of ride underneath the rest of the texture of the band. I can't talk very well today. Okay, I've got another setting for the Dream. Decay time is all the way down. As you can see, the tone control's kind of in the middle. Let's make it a little sharper there. And the mix is fairly low, maybe, I don't know, 30-40%. And I've got some modulation going on. Let's hear it with distorted lead. That's kind of nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some tape echo into the mix, and this is a delay that will sit in front of the reverb. So I'm going, in my case, the signal chain is guitar, compressor, distortion, tape echo, the slow, and then the front end of the amp model. That's nice. Now I'm going to add one more delay in there. I'm running an amp model, so I have the power to put a stereo delay after the slow reverb. So slow is obviously, as you've heard, is a mono reverb, which is fine, but let's check it out with a stereo delay after it to kind of get a stereo image going. That's nice. Now, should you think that it's all the stereo delay, let's turn the slow off, and here's what we get. Nice sound, but if we add the slow in, check that out. As you can hear, it really fills out in between the delay repeats. Super cool. All right, the last thing I'd like to mention, I won't demo it, but there is a secondary function on that 3-way switch that allows you to select either the dark, the rise, or the dream delay algorithms. The secondary function controls the waveform of the modulation. I've had it set pretty much to the sine wave modulation type, but there's also kind of a more random one called warp. And there's also a third that's kind of like a Bigsby tremolo, according to Walrus Audio, and that's called sync. So what do I think about the slow? Well, couple things. One is, it is a rock-solid build. I'm sure like all the other Walrus Audio pedals, this is actually my first, but I'm pretty impressed with the build. This would definitely stand up on a touring musician's pedal board, no problems. And If you are a musician that is using a traditional single amp kind of rig where you've got a pedal board in front of the amp and then you plug into the front end of the amp, this is a great option for those kind of reverb-soaked ethereal sounds where you've got some distortion going, maybe a delay in front, maybe a delay afterwards, and you just really want to space out. This is a great reverb for those types of tones. If you're like me and you're running amp modelers and you tend to run in stereo, like all mono pedals, the slow is going to be a little limiting, as you would expect, because it's only inputting and outputting a mono signal. Now, that being said, if you are running an amp modeler like me, you can do what I did, and that's run stereo effects after the slow to give you more of a stereo image and get that bigger and wider sound. So don't go yet. I've got a playlist of other reverb demos that I've done here on the channel over the last couple years. I would be honored if you would check some of them out. And as always, I will see all of you on the next video.